Hello, this is Peter Levesque. It is Friday, November 14th, 2008, and I'm in my office in Ottawa. I spent the last 2 days in Montreal at the Jardin Botanique, which is a beautiful venue, at something called the Acfas Grande Rencontre Sciences et Societe. So Acfas is the association, the Francophone Association for Knowledge, Association Francophone pour le Savoir. And La Grande Rencontre is essentially the big meeting of science and society. And I have to congratulate the organizers. It was an interesting event in a beautiful venue with a good collection of people from various perspectives. I have a couple of comments that are positive and a couple of comments that are critical, and a couple of comments about where I think we need to go next. I'm always struck by the extraordinary capacity in Quebec and the vision that they have with regards to liaison and transfer and knowledge exchange and mobilization. And I was just going through a series of cards, and there's a center on transfer for education success, and an agent of valorization, which is a term we don't really use in English, but is an interesting one, and knowledge transfer with regards to the use of media for health. Valorization of research for social and technological innovation, a project leader for electoral participation of youth, an agent of transfer and accompaniment for the Quebec network of social innovation. And the titles go on, and it's interesting when you ask them what people do. It's really about building value. And so this is promising. The other thing that is promising is the cohort of 20, 30, 40 somethings that see knowledge mobilization as a vocation, not as something that happens on the corner of the desk, but as a professional activity with effective practices and continual learning about how to build more value. And so that's promising. The other thing that was really promising was that the Institute of Nuvomonde, which was the co-organizer and host of this organization, is only 5 years old, but has really developed a knack for bringing people together in meaningful and effective ways. And I'm going to put a link to both Acfas and the Institute of Nuvomonde on the introduction to this video, and I suggest that you check them out. The other thing that I really liked was workshops. I like rolling up my sleeves and working with people to come to an understanding, but the other part that I liked is and it's a method that I use quite a bit as well, is making concrete suggestions for actions, behaviors, policies, programs, that kind of thing. So I participated in a workshop that looked at, is knowledge being thrown in the wastebasket? Is it wasted? And we looked at taboos, and we looked at contradictions, and we looked at incontournables, which are essentially, the things that are in the environment that we have to go around. They're just part of the topography that you have to travel over. And that was really interesting. So what am I critical of? At first I thought this was a generational thing, but I think it's more of an institutional bias. There's a bunch of people that think that the university is the be-all and end-all of the world. And I don't, for some people it is. But engaging in practices and statements that are paternalistic and denigrating to people who work in other areas is not productive. And perhaps it relates to self-esteem. I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know. But to say that society doesn't exist, well, neither does science. They're both social constructions. To say that people are not so smart and so we have to explain in ways so that they will continue giving us research funding is paternalistic and denigrating and insulting. So stop it. It's stupid. The other thing that is interesting is that there doesn't appear to be any corporate memory with regards to this debate, or institutional memory with regards to this debate or conversation. It's been going on for a long time. The use of the radio, the latest technology, the use of the car for continuing education in the 1920s is part of this debate. The creation of the science shops as a student movement in Europe in the 1970s is part of this debate. Ralph Nader's work on creating the Public Interest Research Group is part of this debate. The 10 years of the Cura program are part of this debate. In Quebec, the creation of the offices of Service aux collectivités, or service to the collective, is part of this debate. This isn't new. Perhaps it's new to you, but this is part of something that's been going on for a long time. And so we have this discussion of power and control that I think needs to become front and center, and we need to engage in conversations about mutual benefits, mutuality. There's a long debate, and I think I need to write something about the transition of the CURA program and the lobby of the universities to make sure that the money went directly to them. That'll become. The other thing that happens is that research is not something in and of itself. Research is a process that leads to other activities in a value chain. And the universities play an important but minority position in research. They produce, I think, according to the AUCC's own report, 32 or 33%. It's significant, but it's the minority. So most of research happens elsewhere. And what's really important about university research is that it's mostly funded with public dollars, and public dollars equals public access, which means that it can be exploited for many different purposes, and that's important. Research happens in corporations, it stays in corporations. Often research that happens in governments stays in the government. The role of the university is really important, and so we need to be more open to how do we get its best value, because it needs to be exploited, and I use that word properly, so that there are greater societal benefits, period. So what do we need to do? We need to keep linking to action, and I thought the Institute of Nuvomonde was brilliant with regards to that. I thought a lot of the people that I met in the various centers were brilliant with regards to that. I think that we need to create networks, but not just networks of outputs or networks of interest, but networks of outcomes. And I'm quoting Rick Blickstead from the Wellesley Institute. I'm really interested in networks of outcomes. I hope you are too. And I think we need to be open-minded and creative. This debate's been going on for a long time, but there's been an awful lot of talk and not enough building. So I think we need to continue to build, and I'm really impressed with the cohort of people that are working on this. So good on ya. This is Peter Levesque, and if you have any comments, please leave them in the box below. Cheers.